Yo, that's a wrap. It was an amazing experience. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Hope they got some laughs, some good entertainment.
This is Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game.
54 seconds to go. Crossover by Wiggins. The winner will lead the series 3-2. Wiggins spins, fadeaway jumper. Good with 47.8 to go. 119-114. Warriors up 5. Yeah, Warriors up 5 at that point. Stephen Curry, the driving layup in the and one, 122-114 after that. And the Warriors go on to win it 123-116 as they hold off another furious rally from the Sacramento Kings, who just never seem to go away, even when the Warriors seemingly are starting to figure things out. We welcome you inside Warriors Wrap Up here on 95.7 The Game. It's John Dickinson at Golden One Center here in Sacramento. We'll open up the phone lines here. Appreciate everybody watching on YouTube and Twitch as we get this thing rolling here on a Wednesday night. 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570 as the Warriors take the 3-2 series advantage back to the Bay for game number 6, which is going to be on Friday afternoon. And this is something you're going to hear me say a lot over the course of the next 90 minutes or so as we keep things rolling until midnight here on 95.7 The Game. Game 6 begins at 5 p.m. Pacific time in San Francisco on Friday afternoon. Doubleheader. There are only 2 Game 6s to be played among the series that are scheduled. The Knicks close things out tonight in 5. The Bucks were beaten by Miami as the 8 seed beats the 1 seed 4-1 there. And so the Bucks are out. So only 2 games on Friday. That means the Warriors game and the Lakers-Grizzlies game. Those are the 2. So one of them had to be the late game for the ESPN doubleheader. One of them had to be the early game for the ESPN doubleheader. And the NBA chose the early game. And the Warriors and Kings as the series that has been the more entertaining of the 2 for the primetime East Coast slot. So take the day off, get out of work early, get into the city early. I don't know what you got to do. Treat it like a Saturday or a Sunday. Basically just shut down the city of San Francisco on Friday to allow people to get to the ball game and be able to cheer on the Warriors if they choose to do so in what could be a closeout game of what has been an unbelievably hard-fought series. So 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570 as the Warriors win a road game in the 28th consecutive playoff series. That goes back to 2013. First round against Denver, and that is every single playoff series that Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green have played in together. Every single one. They have won at least one road playoff game in all of them, and it was nip and tuck tonight. As far as this game went, some similarities, teams 1 and 2, but the Warriors figuring things out offensively in this series and doing enough defensively to be able to hold off Sacramento now down the stretch for a second consecutive game. But let's get into some of the key points of this one. I mean, shaky start for the Warriors tonight. They looked in the first 5-6 minutes about as shaky as they did in some of their worst moments in this building in either game 1 or game 2 when they dropped both of them. Steve Kerr wound up using the same lineup that he used to start game 3 and game 4 with Draymond Green suspended for game 3 coming off the bench in game 4. And part of this, when you look, is the Warriors were not defending well early in the game. Sabonis was getting rolling early in the game. Keegan Murray was getting rolling early in the game. The crowd was jacked. And the Warriors, I think, only being down 3 at the end of the first quarter was huge because it felt with the way that the Warriors played like they could have been down double digits. The Kings were 8 of 12 from 3 in the first quarter. All the conversation about De'Aaron Fox in his hand, he looked terrific in the first quarter and was flying around and was knocking down the 3 ball, so nothing to see here, although Fox clearly playing in pain. Second quarter, Warriors flipped the game, and they flipped the game with their defense. After a loose first quarter, they flipped the game with their defense, outscored the Kings 27-20 in quarter number 2, as the Warriors still at times were having a difficult time getting into their offense. But Klay Thompson, huge in the first half, huge in the second quarter. 16 points for Klay Thompson at the break. He took some bad ones, but what are bad shots when they're going in? And tonight was one of those first halves where Klay did take some bad ones, but they were going in, and the Warriors needed it, and it helped flip the game in the second quarter to that 27-20 advantage. Steph Curry ended up with 12 in the first half. Draymond Green came in, and look at Draymond Green, the scorer for the Warriors in this one. And then Gary Payton the second down the stretch, plus 10 in the final 7 minutes of that second quarter, and that's really a key stretch where the Warriors were able to, with Stephen Curry off the floor. I think this is the key point in the ballgame. The Warriors went from down 5 to up 6, 12-1 run with Steph Curry off the floor. Kings cut it down to what ultimately would be a 4-point game at the half, but the Warriors able to survive a super hot shooting start from Sacramento at 8 of 12. They didn't make a three-pointer in quarter number 2. De'Aaron Fox had 17. Keegan Murray, the 10. Quick ones early. Sabonis was doing his thing to a higher degree at times than he had been at other points in this series where the Warriors have been a handful on him. But the Warriors flipped it there with that critical stretch. Gary Payton, the second part of it. Klay Thompson, part of it. And then what can you say about Kevon Looney? I mean, that hasn't already been said with the series that he had before tonight's game. But Kevon Looney just cleaning the glass. And the Warriors got hit a little bit early on the offensive boards, and Sacramento did end up with 12 offensive rebounds. But Kevon Looney had 7 offensive rebounds himself and 15 defense. He had 22 rebounds. So Kevon Looney, another game where 4 points, 22 rebounds to go with 7 assists, and just a stabilizing force for the Warriors here in this one as they wind up getting the win. Third quarter, Warriors missed some open looks, but that's where the offense came calling for the Warriors, attacking and getting layups. The layup line that has been there when the Warriors have been patient enough to take it. It felt an awful lot like good chunks of Game 4 at Chase. And the Kings have had all kinds of quarters this year. I can't tell you how many times watching them, they have a 39-34 quarter where there's just no defense being played, but the Warriors were able to make them pay by continuing to attack the basket. Now, the Warriors were in some foul trouble from a team standpoint in the fourth quarter. The Warriors were in some foul trouble from a personal standpoint. It looked like that had the potential to maybe put the Warriors in a even more dicey situation than they found themselves in. But fourth quarter, Warriors clinging to that 8 to 10 point lead and just enough answers. Curry with a couple of big layups. Draymond Green, how about his pull-up jumper with the Warriors up one after a turnover and an Andrew Wiggins foul. The Warriors couldn't stop with the take fouls and the clear path fouls, but Draymond, I think 2019 Portland Western Conference Finals Draymond in this game tonight for Golden State. Short jumper made it 113 to 110. Then Draymond steal. Clay makes it 115 to 110. Another Draymond steal. And then the Warriors missed a couple of daggers. Malik Monk was keeping Sacramento in it, but Curry able to put the Warriors back up 5. And then the Kings missed a couple of shots. Still in the game. Curry missed the dagger 3. Sabonis got a dunk. There was the unsuccessful challenge, but Malik Monk missed a 3. Andrew Wiggins put him up 5, and then Curry clinched this one with the driving layup to make it 122 to 114 with 22.4 to go. And you add it all up, and the Warriors now find themselves with a 3-2 series advantage after trailing in this series 0-2. Also, the 6th time now that the Warriors in a series in the Steve Kerr era where they've been tied at 2-2. They've gone on to win every one of those series. This is the 5th time in 6 chances that the Warriors have won that Game 5. They've won the series every single time. 888-957-9570. Who's your heroes tonight for Golden State? Just so many to go around here. Offense, steady defense, overcoming, I think, some of the foul trouble at different points in this game as well. And then what can you say about Kevon Looney? Just incredible, incredible stuff as he allowed the Warriors to get the ball off of their better defensive possessions, but also some backbreaker offensive rebounds in this one, part of his 7 and the 22 total. So let's get to the phones. 888-957-9570. Philmo Mike's going to get it started tonight here on a Wednesday on 95.7 The Game. What's going on tonight, Philmo?
Oh, man, what a game. You feel me? On some real ish, the NBA is not stupid. You can say what you want about not David Stern, but the guy, whatever he is. This series is lit, and the NBA knows what the hell they doing. And the playoff, this is what the playoffs is all about. Some fool called earlier talking to Willard and Diz talking about Draymond Green is not a winner. What? He's the DJ Khaled of basketball players. All they do is win. What was he smoking? It's not a coincidence, bro. Like, these games are so close. It's not a coincidence that Draymond Green is the reason that we're winning. It's like a shot there, a shot there, a shot there. There's a reason. It's a play there, a play there, a play there that changed the graphic of the game. And I don't know what people are saying, but y'all need to open your eyes and stop hating on dark-skinned people. Dark-skinned brothers matter, man. I love it. It's a joke. It's a joke, but I'm just saying.
I got you, Philbo. No, I got you, my man. I tripped over my cord right in the moment when you said that. That's why I didn't react to you. I thought I was going to knock myself off the air here. Appreciate it, Philmo, Mike. But, yeah, look, Draymond, 21 points tonight on 8 of 10, and he attacked the basket, and he made shots. And the Kings are terrible at defending on the interior, and Draymond early on in the series was not making Sacramento pay for the fact that it's a freaking layup line if you attack them. Tonight, Draymond made him pay. Now, I don't know about the Dirk Nowitzki pull-up in a 1-point game when Golden One Center is about to erupt, as it did in Game 1 and Game 2, but the one thing we've seen from Draymond Green over and over and over and over again is he rises to the occasion in the biggest moments. And for all the different times that Draymond Green has let this Warriors team down, there's been just as many times where Draymond Green lifts this Warriors team up and winds up getting the last laugh in a series where potentially he's cost him. And I think this game tonight, he had a little something for the 18,253 that were in attendance that were ready to watch him erupt on the negative again and maybe put the Warriors in a catastrophic position heading back home with their season on the line at, down 3-2. Draymond Green has a 6-point scoring game. We're having a completely different conversation tonight, but he attacked and he made Sacramento pay for one of their biggest deficiencies, which is the inability to cover on the interior defensively. How about this number? First time in the regular season or playoffs that Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Andrew Wiggins all scored 20 points in the game. All four. The big four, Steph, Klay, Draymond, plus Wiggins, all went for 20, and the Warriors needed all of it in this one. Steph goes for 31, Klay 25, Wiggins 20, and it was an efficient 20 with a couple of three-point makes, and then Draymond's 8 for 10. You couple that with Kevon Looney's rebounding, you mix in a little Gary Payton II with his stellar defense and 4 of 5 field goals with some critical layups. The Warriors had 60 points in the paint. 60 points in the paint tonight. That's how you get it done when you only knock down 11 of 38 from 3. And how about the Kings? The Kings started tonight 8 of 12 from 3. The Kings finished tonight 2 for their last 22 from three-point range. So the hot start cooled. The Warriors got it going on the interior, and that's how they're able to walk out of Golden One Center with a 3-2 lead heading back to Chase for Friday afternoon. 888-957-9570. Let's keep it rolling on the phone lines with Connor on the way back from Sacramento here on 95.7 The Game. What's going on tonight, Connor?
Bonte, what's up, brother? How we doing?
Yeah, it's JD, man. It's JD.
Oh, it's JD. Oh, my bad, JD. Well, hey, I just want to make a comment here. The Sacramento Kings, they are pumping the crowd noise in. There's no way it's rocking bigger than Oracle. No way. Absolutely not. Go Dubs. We're on the way back to San Francisco. Big win, baby. Warriors in 6. Let's go.
All right, enjoy, Connor. I don't think so, man. I think it just is that loud, to be perfectly honest. I know I've delved and annoyed some here in Sacramento with some things that have been presented as conspiracy theories here over the last couple of days, but that's one I'm not buying at all. They were not to my ear at all, and I've been at Game 1, Game 2, Game 5, piping in crowd noise. That place was this loud, and it did rival Oracle from the We Believe years. It absolutely rivaled Oracle from the 2013, 14, 15, 16 years. There's no doubt. But no, it was an electrifying crowd, and I think that's where you got to give the Warriors a lot of credit. Early in the game, they took some freaking haymakers from the Kings. The Kings came out smoking from three-point range, and like they were trying to put the Warriors down 36-40 to 22 at the end of the first quarter. But the Warriors' poise, even though they weren't playing well, even though Sacramento was going off from distance, they're poised to hang in and do just enough to where you look up at the end of the quarter and it's 36-33. That's champion-level stuff in what was an absolutely electric and hostile environment. I will, though, Connor, give a hat tip to the Warrior fans because there were, 5 times as many Warrior fans in this building, maybe more than that than there were in Games 1 or Game 2. Now, it still wasn't an overwhelming amount. I mean, there were so few. It was probably 98-2 in terms of percentage in the first couple of games. I thought it was more like 85-15 in this one. A lot more Warrior fans making the trip for Game 5. And while it was electric, it wasn't quite what it was as consistently as it was in those first 2 games. All right, let's keep it rolling with sophomore in Pacifica. 888-957-9570. Hey, sophomore.
Hey, JD. You've got part of the story, and Philma Mike, of course, has part of the story, but, you got to think of Draymond Green as, a player coach. So all of this did not happen, reactively. It's because Draymond said in his head, this is how this game is going to go, and he made it happen. He scored this many points because he planned to. And, of course, no one player, no one coach controls the game. But this was an assertion of his will, and it went the way he wanted it to go. So extremely impressive. Huge roses and flowers to Draymond tonight.
Yeah, he didn't let Sacramento not guard him and still not score. A big part of the Sacramento Kings' success defensively against the Warriors in the first couple of games of this series is because they weren't guarding Draymond Green and he wasn't making him pay. and they were using the ability that Draymond Green wasn't a threat on the floor to help them put pressure on the Warriors' other scorers. And, I mentioned this after Game 3, the fact that Draymond Green was probably watching Game 3 as a coach, as a high IQ player, and picking apart all of the different ways that he could reinsert himself back into this series and help. And one of those ways, it turns out, is taking advantage of the way Sacramento was defending the Warriors through the first couple of games of the series. And look, Sacramento defense, if you're patient, and they have done a nice job against the Warriors with the ball pressure on certain plays. But if you run your offense and cut and keep it moving and don't turn it over and take bad shots, you can put 60, 70 points on the paint on them every single freaking night. And then, they're going to get theirs, and they may have a hot night from three, and De'Aaron Fox may get rolling, and it looks insurmountable. They're always going to make their runs, and they're never out of the game. But you can outlast them if you keep scoring in a patient, efficient manner, and the Warriors were able to do enough of that tonight to prevail in this one. And a big part of that is the fact that, one thing I know Mike Brown wasn't banking on was Draymond Green scoring 21 points. Like, that's just the reality. He came up with all kinds of different things that he could try to do. But the one thing that I think, as this series continues to move forward and the Warriors have the 3-2 lead now and look to get one more win, it's the fact that they've maybe found something which the rest of the league found, at least in the games where Sacramento was able to be beat, and that's the fact that really you should be able to make them pay for their defensive inabilities. Reggie and Vallejo next here on Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game. What's going on, Reggie?
Hey, what's up, JD, man? I just want to say I appreciate your work. And, man, I just want to let you know, brother, the Bay's got your back. I saw that little Twitter war that was going on about the De'Aaron Fox finger thing. That was just... Yeah,
he looked pretty good tonight, didn't he? He didn't look like a guy that was doubtful.
Shout out to Clutch Sports. I think I tweeted you about that earlier. That had me cracking up.
And look, everybody should have expected that. Like, honestly, and look, hat tip to him. He was obviously in a lot of pain, and maybe he wasn't as the game went on.
Yeah.
His full self. I mean, no disrespect. I mean, he was terrific in the first half, and he ended up 9 of 25. And missed his last 7 from 3. So I think it's pretty clear that it was bothering him as the game went on. But at the same time, I mean, he came out and he put it on the Warriors early. And look, here's the other reality: the Kings were going away from him for a good chunk of the night. But let me. What else is on your mind there, Reggie?
Yeah, I just wanted to also talk about the offense in the last 5-minute stretch. Just seeing Gary Payton getting those hustle minutes in there, and just, man, Andrew Wiggins, I'm looking at his stat line. He's 20, 18, 20, 22, 17 in his last couple of games back. He looks like he hasn't missed a game in the season. He played 39 minutes tonight. I mean, that's incredible to me, and just the shot making of, Steph, Clay, Dre, pedigree, DNA, whatever you guys want to call it. From your words, JD, they look buttoned up in the last five minutes.
They just withstood the storm over and over and over. I mean, we talked about the first quarter storm. I thought the Warriors on a lot of nights, especially in the regular season, would have been down 38-20 at the end of the first quarter. But they held their mud. They did enough. They didn't panic. Place was rocking. And it really was one of those moments where you look up at the end of the first quarter and you go, the Kings are up 3. They hit 8 of 12 from 3. De'Aaron Fox looks like the best version of himself, at least at that point, even though it didn't continue. And the Warriors were only up 3. And that was a flip from the first 2 games in this building, because I thought the Warriors should have been up at the end of the first quarter in Game 1, and the game was tied. And I thought the Warriors probably should have been up 15 points in Game 2, but they were only up 6. And then those moments where Steve Kerr went away from Stephen Curry and De'Aaron Fox was on the floor against some Warrior bench players, they'd make their little run and get back into the game, and then the Warriors would do a bunch of dumb stuff, take bad shots, turn it over. offensive rebounds, second chances, all of that stuff. And while we're talking about Steve Kerr, got to give Steve Kerr a nod tonight for finally just playing the right nine. And I know it's been a little difficult for him to get to this point because of the Draymond Green suspension and because of Gary Payton II's illness and inability to play in Game 3, and he clearly wasn't able to be himself in Game 4, and Steve Kerr went away from him, and that worked out. Moses Moody found something with him being able to play some short minutes in Game 2, which carried over to Game 3 and then to Game 4, and he got out there tonight. But Steve Kerr basically played 6. He technically played 9, but he really played 8 because Moses Moody only played 4, and he finally didn't go to Kuminga. Kuminga had almost single-handedly wrecked 2 games in this series, in Game 2 and Game 4 for the Warriors, with the -10 at the top of the second quarter in Game 2, and in Game 4 it was a similar deal, -8 in about 3 minutes. And I know because of the fact that he played okay with the Warriors up in Game 3, he wanted to give him a shot in Game 4. Because of the Draymond suspension, he was going to give him a shot probably in Game 3. I think he was going to go away from him in Game 2 after he wasn't great in Game 1. But then you got to deal with the Draymond suspension. I think he regretted it in Game 2 playing him. But he's not the story. But the story is the fact that in a game that the Warriors, as it went on, felt like they absolutely had to have, he played and buttoned up the rotation, and I think he had to. I mean, this is akin to Major League Baseball playoffs. Are you going to use your closers for the 2-inning save, right? The 6-out save, the 5-out save. And Steve Kerr did it, and I think he had to because this is the last game where the Warriors had the extended rest. Not even 2 days. It was really 3 full days because Game 4 ended at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday, and this game didn't take place until 7 o'clock tonight. So it was basically 75, 76 hours that the Warriors had to rest up their older bodies in this series. And so as this game went on and the Warriors were able to flip it in the second quarter and build what would be the 12-point lead from there, and the Kings were making their runs, this game felt like the game the Warriors absolutely had to get. Now, with the quick turnaround to Game 6 on Friday by comparison, and what would be an even quicker turnaround if this thing ends up going from Friday to Sunday, a Game 7, if the Warriors are unable to close it out on Friday, that would be 12:30 right back here in Sacramento. I think the Warriors want no part of that against a younger team that continues to apply relentless pressure on the Warriors, even when it seems like things are in control. And so tonight was one that I'll say it. I think they had to have it, and had they dropped it, somehow, with as much of the game as they controlled it, I think it would have been catastrophic for Golden State. But they were able to close it out. They get the win, 123-116, and now the 3-2 lead. Series isn't over, but the Warriors got the one they're going to have to get in this building. I would be reluctant to think that you're going to be able to do it again if you're Golden State. Eric in San Francisco. Full phone lines, 888-957-9570. Eric's here on 95.7 The Game.
Hey, JD. Thanks for taking my call. 2 quick points. First point is I'm a Warriors season ticket holder from 2012, and I think this is one of the most impressive road wins because at least through the TV, the Kings Arena seems to remind me of how crazy Oracle was when we knocked off the Nuggets in 2013 playoffs. It was just absolute insanity in there. And so for the Warriors to be able to take the best punch from the Kings in a crowd that hostile, it ranks right up there with the Boston win. I know it's not the finals or anything like that, but just in terms of the intensity that comes through the TV, it just seems like they really pulled out a tough one on the road. And the other point I wanted to bring out, I think the league is underselling how impressive Andrew Wiggins is. Like, to be able to take 2 months off and just walk right into the first round of the playoffs and put together basically 5 consecutive really solid games where there's no way we win any one of those the 3 games we've won without him. I just think it's really impressive and being undersold by the whole league. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Especially since you've been at the Kings Arena and you know what it was like in 2012.
Yeah, no doubt. I think this has been as legitimate a road crowd as the Warriors have faced at any point in their run. I think it's right up there with Boston in the finals last year, which was terrific. I think it was right up there with Oklahoma City in 2016 when the Warriors got down 3-1, ultimately came back and won that series. There have been some really good crowds in Portland. I think the games here in Sacramento, the three that have been played to this point, have all surpassed any of those. Cleveland, the year that they got the better of the Warriors and came back from 3-1, that building was pretty hostile and intense and on one. But this is as true a road environment as the Warriors have faced as they're getting older against a young upstart team that in many ways their strengths play into the Warriors' weaknesses when the Warriors aren't totally themselves. And so I think when you add all that up, this is one of the most impressive road wins that they've had among the 28 consecutive series now where Steph, Clay, and Draymond have won a road game going all the way back to 2013. Every single one that they've played in together, every single playoff series they've been able to get won. I think this one tonight is probably right up there considering the circumstances and being down 0-2 in a series for the first time ever in the Steve Kerr era. I mean, it's hard to imagine when you think being down 0-2 and knowing that you've been as bad a road team as the Warriors have been this year and knowing you got to get one and knowing that the Kings are pretty relentless and coming after you at every turn, even when you think – every time the Warriors think they've got it in this series, the Kings go on like a 6-0 run, and it's like, oh, yeah, tie game. Oh, you're behind. Oh, 1-point game. And 18,000 people are ringing cowbells and breathing down your neck. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. And as far as Wiggins goes, I mean, Wiggins – he was a little rusty with you're just seeing him get a little bit better each game and a little bit more comfortable. And Wiggins is another one of those guys that plays perfectly against Sacramento because he can get the tough twos. And, the Kings have done a nice job at times taking the three away, making the Warriors get into their offense late, ball pressure, impressive really for a team that's as bad defensively as they are. But Wiggins is one of those guys that can hit those buckets with the shot clock running down, that can get going toward the basket, and we've seen him be able to knock down some more threes as this series has gone on. And look, 2 for 5 is fine. 2 for 5 for Wiggins in a playoff game in this series, that's terrific. The Warriors will sign up for that. What you can't have is 1 for 8, 1 for 9. And we saw that in game 1, and they were a lot of good shots, and he was clearly rusty. But as far as just the wind and the conditioning and his ability to look like his old self relatively quickly, that's been one of the absolute keys to this series. All right, 888-957-9570. Ricky, Josue, Tony, Rich, I'm coming to you guys, but I do need to break. Sterling's on me saying, hey, you got to break. We're also going to get the secret sauce of the game. We're going to do that right now. Secret sauce of the game brought to you by Proposition Chicken. This chicken goes 3 ways: fried, flipped, and fake. Now available in 9 Bay Area locations. Or you can order online at propositionchicken.com. The secret sauce of the game for the Warriors, it's Draymond Green tonight. I mean, point blank. Draymond Green with the target on him, coming off the bench. This crowd ready to just put it on him again if he's unable to keep his composure, and as if there was any doubt as to whether he'd be able to keep his composure. Not only did he do that, but coming off the bench in 32 minutes, just relentless in his attacking of the weak Sacramento defense. 8 of 10, just big steals down the stretch, tremendous defense. I mean, 4 steals for Draymond. He has a block, the 7 assists. I mean, he was just doing it all. And he was much more composed and patient with his game tonight, which I think was hugely important. This was a vintage Draymond Green, don't sleep on the different ways that I can beat you kind of game. And the Warriors absolutely had to have it. And like I said a little bit earlier, if this is a 4-point Draymond game, then the Warriors get run out of the building in this one. And we're talking about them being on the brink of elimination on Friday. So Draymond Green, the doing-it-all performance, your secret sauce of the game. All right, We'll pause here. We'll come back. We're keeping this thing going until midnight. 888-957-9570. It's John Dickinson at Golden One Center. Warriors beat the Kings 123-116 to take a 3-2 lead here on 95.7 The Game.
O'Reilly. Improve visibility and save $8 instantly when you pick up a pair of Bosch Icon wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Bosch Icon premium blades can help you see better and drive safer. And our professional parts people will install them for you for free. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
floor, went from down 5 to up 6. The Kings made it a 4-point game at the half, but that was the critical juncture of quarter number 2, allowed the Warriors to go into halftime with the lead, and then the free-for-all open gym third quarter allowed the Warriors to get a little breathing room, and then enough shot making and defense from Draymond Green and patience and poise in the fourth quarter to hold on as you knew the Kings were coming, as they have throughout the entirety of this series. 123-116 is the final. Back here at Golden One Center in Sacramento. John Dickinson with you as the Warriors take the 3-2 series advantage over the Sacramento Kings. Game 6 on Friday, and again, going to say this a lot here between now and midnight. Game 6 is a 5 o'clock start right here on 95.7 The Game. That's right, 5 o'clock start. There's 2 Western Conference playoff games, and that's it on Friday with the Lakers-Grizzlies Game 6 down in Southern California. And the NBA and ESPN, they picked the Warriors to be in the prime Eastern time zone slot, I think, because this series has been better than that series by, well, exponentially better, without a doubt, just in terms of entertainment value. And, of course, the Warriors being one of the major, if not the number one draw in the league is part of that as well. So I think a lot of Warrior fans are sitting here thinking, wait a minute, this is disrespectful. It's actually not disrespectful. It's actually the preferred, the bigger slot is the 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 Eastern slot. It's very rare you're able to get a Western Conference game in that slot. So the league rolled with it, and the Lakers are getting the 7:30 game on ESPN. And so that game's tipping off at 5 in the afternoon on a Friday. And if you've ever been in downtown San Francisco at 5 in the afternoon on a Friday, there are a lot of people trying to get out, which can make it a little difficult to get in. So if you're coming to the ball game Friday at Chase and what figures to be a beautiful afternoon heading into the weekend, you might want to just take the day off. Hell, you might want to just take Thursday off. Just take Thursday and Friday. Just make it a 4-day weekend at this point and get to Chase. I know the Warriors are going to be putting a lot of heat on people to get there on time and early. And, again, call in sick, take your PTO, do whatever you got to do to try and fill up Chase Center for the 5 o'clock start. That's going to be the earliest weekday start in the history of the building. And I can't tell you the last time the Warriors played a 5 o'clock game during the week. I know there's been some 5:30s in the finals and a lot of 6 o'clock games in the West Finals and the NBA Finals, but 5 o'clock, I mean, I think you got to go all the way back to Oracle and probably all the way back to the mid to late, 2007, 2008-ish era, when the league still had Western Conference teams playing 5 o'clock starts, even in the regular season some. Used to be a thing. They went away from it. Big part of the reason they went away from it is because it's hard to fill the building, especially in major metropolitan cities like San Francisco. But it is what it is, and it's a close-out game for the Warriors, and I think it's a game they absolutely have to get to avoid coming back in what would be a 36 to 38-hour turnaround for a potential Game 7 if they don't get it right back in this building at 12:30 on Sunday. 888-957-9570. Let's keep it rolling on the phone lines here on 95.7 The Game with Ricky. Ricky gets us started here at this segment. What's going on tonight, Ricky?
What's going on, JD?
How you doing, man?
Doing great, man. After this W, I took my PTO for today, actually. I'm not coming in Thursday. I'm not decided if I should come in Friday. I'm going to keep it going. We'll see. You know what I mean? Because right now, actually,
you got to do it, Ricky.
Side note,
you got to do it, man.
I'm going to go to the casino right now. I'm going to meet my side chick. I want to go party at Encore. We have an Encore here in Boston. So I'm going right now, actually. But anyway, about the game tonight, man. Great game, man. Klay Thompson, vintage Klay, second quarter. I don't know if you remember, but I called you last week about Klay right after game 2. And I said to you, I was like, I didn't see, Klay moving without the ball and the offense, right? He was just standing still like a statue and letting Curry, just dribble, let the clock run down, and Curry with a miracle shot. But I didn't see Klay moving without the ball. And I wanted to see that going forward to game 3. I saw that game 4. I saw that tonight. I saw it especially again, second quarter. He was moving without the ball. It looked like Reggie Miller in his prime out there. He was scoring, hitting the J. I want to keep Klay keep doing that. And, if the Warriors and Klay have that successful remedy to move without the ball in offense, the Warriors going to be unstoppable, man. But listen, I got to go. I got to go to Encore, bro. I got to celebrate tonight. I'm feeling good, man. Go Dubs.
Appreciate it, Ricky. I know Ricky checking in from Boston. I know Ricky likes the 5 o'clock start because it's 8 o'clock for him. That's perfect on a Friday night. Again, I think that's part of the reason why the Warriors are in that slot. I think the other part of it could be the quick turnaround if there's a Game 7. I know a couple of extra hours doesn't seem like much, but it can be. And so you would know, obviously, although I guess the Lakers, if there's a Game 7, might be playing a game even earlier than that back in Memphis. But we'll see about all of that. But, yeah, as far as Klay, I mean, one of the stories of this series, I think, has been Klay's patience as it's gone on, because he was taking some really bad shots, and especially in the first game. He got a little more patient in the second game. He started off poor in the third game, but had an excellent game as that one. In the fourth game, he started off poorly, but had an excellent Game 4, top to bottom, as that game played out. Ended up being the leader in plus minus for the game, and just the key for Klay is on the nights where he's not hitting to not, kind of like we were talking about Wiggins earlier, it's not to take too many shots on the nights where you're not hitting, and understand that even though you're one of the greatest shooters of all time, it might not be your night. And against this Sacramento team, the bad shots you take that you don't make are exactly what gets you beat. I mean, the Kings want to get you into this track meet where you feel like you can run with them and take bad shots with them, and you miss enough of them, and they run it back the other way for layups and open threes and get the crowd in the game, and it's just relentless. They take advantage of your mistakes. I think in some ways better than any team in the league, with hitting you with those little 6-point runs. But I think Klay over the course of this series has made the adjustment and just played calmer. And I think that's probably one of the big stories for the Warriors as this series has gone on. It took them a couple of games to figure it out. I don't want to go as far as to say as they didn't respect the Kings enough at the beginning, but if they didn't, being down 0-2 with Draymond Green serving a suspension and Gary Payton II down due to illness, that's enough to wake you up and understand that you got to play a hell of a lot more buttoned up than the Warriors did in the first 2 games of the series. Klay's a big part of that story because he's done it. Draymond's done it. Kevon Looney's been somebody the Warriors have leaned on, and they've needed all of it here to be able to win the last 3 games now and take the 3-2 lead. Josue in Vallejo next year, 888-957-9570. Hey, Josue.
Hey, JD. I'm actually in Fremont. I don't know, he must have misheard me, but I'm Josue from Fremont.
Okay. Yeah, what's going on, man? Maybe you were just driving through Vallejo, Josue. But yeah, what's going on tonight in Fremont, brother?
Yeah, in my last life. Yeah, man, I was going to talk about Klay, but since that previous caller just chatted about him, I'll just say really quick, like his shot difficulty was off the charts tonight. I really appreciated his game. I don't disagree with you in that Draymond was the secret sauce. But like one of my takes, because there's a bunch from the game, right? Like 4 people and 20-plus points, Looney with 20-plus boards. But I just think the floor game from GP2, Jordan Poole, and Dante outplayed anything that Sacramento put on the floor. I think Sacramento played a good game overall. I could tell that De'Aaron Fox's fingers started to wear on him a little bit, but just the floor game, GP2, Jordan Poole, and Dante was pretty clutch tonight. Quiet, but clutch. And that's my take.
Yeah, absolutely. There weren't really negative minutes from any of them. I mean, Dante ended up being a negative 11 in the game, but you can't only play 6. You can, in theory, play 6, but you can't literally play 6. And so DiVincenzo had to play. He's been up and down in this series, I think mostly down, top to bottom, but they got just enough from the others, and Peyton was huge. I mean, Peyton was absolutely huge in this one. Let's keep it rolling. Tony in Alameda next here on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. Hey, Tony.
Yes, hi. Hey, thank you for taking my call. Hey, listen, I'm going to say that right now, okay? The first thing I'm going to mention to you is about Steve Kerr, okay? It's how he juggled this lineup, okay? Saving Green, okay. 2 games, he didn't start. I think he's trying to make sure he's not going to get anger right away, okay, and also energy. And that worked out. That's pretty good, okay? That worked out pretty good. Okay, also Curry, a quiet 31 points, 2 for 10 in threes. That worked out good. And the main, I think, secret sauce is Draymond Green. 21 points. Come on. If you didn't score, if you only scored 8 or 10 points, we would have lost the game. That's the bottom line, okay? I mean, I know he missed like 3 or 4 free throws, but he would have missed, if he didn't score 21 points, I did just say 10 points only, we would have lost the game. I think that's a secret sauce. By the way, the announcer on TNT, he is very terrible as far as when Curry got really elbowed in his ribs. He said, "Oh, this is a common foul." That's just, he can shake it up or something. But I don't know who he is. I like to find out who that guy is. Okay? And GP2, this guy, he has some plays tonight that kind of help us out in a way, you know, especially on the, when he got the ball and the jump ball, and the ball went into us, and that was a big difference too. And Looney, thank you, Looney, for another rebound there. Please, keep it up. Thank you very much for taking my call.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you very much, Tony. Tony Alameda, always great to hear from you. Tonight was a game that was about Steph, Clay, Draymond, Wiggins, and Looney. That lineup that is the top-rated lineup, 5-man group in the NBA, and they all contributed in a major way. Tonight, it was Gary Payton II, who was the 6th. But, I mean, look at Steph tonight for the Warriors. He goes for 31 points in this one, 8 assists, big-time shots made from 2 in this game, 10 of 15 for Steph on 2s. He was 2 of 10 from 3. You look at Klay Thompson, 5 of 11 from 3. Klay made, I thought, 3 bad shot makes in the first half that the Warriors had to have. And this was the second game in a row where Klay hit some shots that came at critical moments where the Warriors were really up against it, and he was able to knock them down, and it helped stabilize the Warriors in the first quarter, helped them go from down to up in the second quarter, and helped them maintain over the second half the lead that they built. And the Kings did get it down to 1, but they never quite tied it, and they never got the lead. And at any point, it felt like if Sacramento was able to do it, it might start to feel a little bit like Game 1 and Game 2 all over again. But that 5, plus Gary Payton II, I mean, the 4 going for 20, and then Looney going for 22 rebounds and 7 assists. I mean, it was just spectacular. The ball was moving, 33 assists for the Warriors. They did limit the turnovers to 14. There were some sloppy ones mixed in there as well. But this was, I think, one of the better just all-around performances that the Warriors have had. And from Draymond specifically, most points Draymond has scored in any game this season, tonight. I mean, think about that. Draymond Green had his best scoring game of the season, 21 points, in a game the Warriors won by 7 in a 2-2 Western Conference playoff series on the road. I mean, if that isn't an absolute war daddy, winner, rise to the occasion in the biggest moments, I don't know what is from Draymond Green. But it was really about all of those guys. Tonight was a champion's blood performance for the Golden State Warriors in, again, one of the more hostile crowds that they've ever faced during their championship dynastic run. 888-957-9570. We'll keep it moving with Tenderloin Dad. What's going on, Tenderloin?
Hey, JD, no PTO Dickinson, the hardest working man at the game. Honestly, the only other hardworking man I saw out there in Sacramento tonight was Draymond Green. That was a vintage performance from Draymond. 21 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds, something like that. I thought that was awfully clutch. You know, the Kings got cute in those first 2 games and were shooting real well. They were shooting even real well after the first quarter of this game. And what happened? They got cold. Why? Because the Warriors have that championship pedigree. They know what it takes. Andrew Wiggins, I mean, the guy missed, 2 months of basketball and has been plugged in the last 5 games of this playoff series. He was going at De'Aaron Fox all night long on that hand. I thought this was a great performance from the Warriors. I'm really hoping they can come back to Chase Center on Friday and close it out. Let that Memphis Lakers series go 6 or 7-2. I think they're finally coming into their own. Let's go. Thank you, JD. I'm out.
Yeah, appreciate the call. 888-957-9570. Thank you, Tenderloin, for checking in here. A couple on the Comcast Business text line. This was a point that I had noted, but we hadn't gotten to it to this point. I do think the Warriors also overcame some of the foul trouble. I don't know. It felt like tonight was not a night where the Warriors got a great whistle by comparison to the last two games for sure. I thought the first couple of games were pretty even, although I know the Warriors weren't pleased with it. But overcoming Sacramento's ability to get to the free throw line, they did get to the line 26 times. The Warriors 19. 19's not nothing. It was a 10-point advantage for the Kings at the free throw line. The Warriors, though, did end up out-hitting Sacramento from 3, 11-10 in this one. I did want to bring up De'Aaron Fox, and he had picked up a technical foul, and I know a few people had said, he picked up a tech, and then there was the air punch that he made, which is supposed to be an automatic technical. Now, I don't like seeing star players get kicked out of games for playoff games. We went down this road, obviously, with Draymond, and of course, Draymond in Game 2 absolutely deserved to be ejected from the game for what he did. You're not going to get anything different from me on that one. Letter of the law versus spirit of, hey, it's Game 5 of a 2-2 series and the game's wild. I mean, letter of the law, Fox should have probably picked up a tech at that point. And if he had picked up a tech, he would have gotten run. I think, fortunately, that's something that maybe would have been talked about a little bit more if the Warriors wind up not winning the game. But I got to be honest, on practice, I don't love the guy that's been the best player on their team being able to get tossed from a game like that. I don't love it. But, again, letter of the law, pointed out, probably should have been a tech. He already had picked up a tech, and that would have been De'Aaron Fox hitting the showers a little bit early. So a couple of people have pointed that out and wanted me to at least address it. So I will address it here on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. 888-957-9570. Let's keep it rolling on the phone lines. Dan in Castro Valley next here on 95.7 The Game. Hey, Dan. Oh, no Dan. All right, so from Dan, we go to Dre in Lemoore. What's going on, Dre?
Hey, JD, thanks for taking my call. That was a hell of a game tonight. That first quarter kind of scared me. Kings came out fighting. Actually, they fought the whole game. That was one heck of a shot by Wiggins at the end there, that off-balance shot to preserve the lead. Warriors played some great defense down the stretch. And I got to give Monk some credit on the Kings. He really kept them in that game. The Warriors championship medal that won it through, and I haven't seen Draymond score that many points or look to score. I would like to see that in the future if the lane's there. Don't force anything. He took what was available. Warriors won. Great game. Thanks for taking my call again, JD.
Yeah, appreciate it, Dre. Look, the lane is always there against Sacramento. And I think Draymond, from sitting out in Game 3, was able to realize, hey, there can be more patient, and there are times where I can make them pay for the fact that they're trying to sag off of me, and I'm not a threat. And so he had been able to do that a little bit in Game 4. He did it a lot tonight, and it wound up being among the many differences for the Warriors in this game. Look, the Kings hit 8 threes in the first quarter. Keegan Murray was smoking. Malik Monk, I think, was trying to be in attack mode the way he was in Game 1 when he helped Sacramento take it. Warriors gave up a 12-0 run in the fourth. I mean, this team was able to do that. They were in the penalty. All these different things going on, and they still find a way to hold on. They still find a way to hold on the road in an unbelievable environment to get their 28th consecutive series with a road playoff. I mean, it's just it's impressive stuff. And just add this one tonight. No matter what happens in this series or what this team winds up going on and doing throughout the course of the playoffs, I mean, their ability to win this game tonight the way they did. I mean, put that one in the cap among some of the great road wins and just playoff wins that this franchise has had. Bleacher Dave Do I read this correctly? Bleacher Dave in Oakland. What's going on, Bleacher Dave? I haven't heard from you in a long time, my man. How you been?
I'm been good, JD. How you cooking, baby?
I'm good, man. Good to hear your voice and feel your vibe, man. What do you got?
Man, look. Execution is what I got, and I think what we saw. You know, down the stretch, inside the last 3 minutes, 2 minutes, particularly inside 2 minutes, the Warriors were playing crisp, free and easy on offense. They were cutting crisply. They were passing the ball. They played with just confidence. It's not like it's more than confidence. It's we've been here before. Same thing defensively, and I think the Kings got a little bit tentative. You know, throughout 3 games in a row, and I think the formula for all 3 of them has been very similar. They staggered Looney and Draymond. That gave them better spacing on offense. And we've got Looney in kind of the Draymond position that he pioneered in 2015, really, when they're getting 3-on-2 in the middle, and he's deciding where to cut. You know, a bunch of assists tonight again. And his emergence, I think, as a playmaker just kind of gives the Warriors the same kind of concepts and looks, but just an additional bigger guy like Draymond in the middle that can move the ball. Shout out to Kerr. I'm listening to Kerr get a lot of grief from Warriors fans all season for not playing Curry more minutes, for not kind of really using them up to chase after seeding, because he knows, and we all know, it's a long season. He played to June last year, and I think by reserving him, you're able to run him out there 38 minutes tonight when you really need him. And instead of sticking with his kind of planned rotation, I think he brought him in with a minute and something at the end of the third, where they let the Kings in the other night, and then early in the fourth, where they let the Kings run off, I think, 10 in a row at home.
Yeah.
I think for the first time we've seen this team that we were hoping to see, and they just really won all phases of the game. It was fun to watch, man. The Kings are no joke. That was a good team.
No doubt. They are a very good young team, and they've been coming at the Warriors in every possible opportunity to get back in a game. And I think one of the low-key adjustments of this series has been Steve Kerr adjusting Curry's rotation to where there are fewer times where Curry isn't on the floor and De'Aaron Fox is. Those shifts where Fox would be in and Curry would be out, and the rotations under normal circumstances don't match. And so the Kings were getting these 4-minute stretches, 3-4-minute stretches where Fox could go into takeover mode and Curry wasn't on the floor to help balance things for the Warriors and help them be able to score and get back on the other end. And so they were turning into these big runs that were helping the Kings play from a position of advantage. I'm with you on the confidence. I'm with you on the crispness. And there was a poise to the Warriors tonight that wasn't there in the first 2 games in this building. And it put the pressure on the Kings to kind of match the Warriors a little bit. And when it got to that 1-point game and Draymond hit the bucket that put him up 3, the Kings took some bad shots. And Looney was there to clear off the glass. And I think Bleacher Dave, excellent point. Looney in that Draymond position, surveying the defense, being patient. They're able to get some of those same actions with him as they've been able to do with Draymond for all these years. All right, we're going to hold off on the hardest working player till we come back. Let's pause here. We'll reset 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. Some more text from the Comcast Business Text line. We'll get your hardest working player of the game coming up as well. Warriors beat the Kings 123-116. They take the 3-2 series lead, and you heard it all right here in 95.7 The Game.
Comcast Business Complete Connectivity checks all the boxes. With Cyber Threat Security, the largest, fastest, reliable network for small business. And save up to 75% a year with Comcast Business Mobile. Get started for just $49 a month for 12 months when you add mobile. Plus, ask about an $800 prepaid card. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ends 5/21/23. Restrictions apply. Requires 2-year agreement. EcoBill.
win to take a 3-2 series advantage back to Chase Center. Game 6, Friday afternoon. Again, if you're just tuning in, Game 6 is going to be an afternoon game on Friday, 5 p.m. So, as I said earlier, just take Friday off, take Thursday and Friday off. Do what you got to do if you've got tickets to come to Chase. Try and get the place as full as possible here for that ball game that will take place, potential closeout game, and one that I think the Warriors really have to get. I think they'll know it, and the quicker turnaround than there has been here for the last handful of games in this series with only the one off day and then Game 6, I think the Warriors would tell you they got to get it done to not have to come back to this building and this atmosphere in a Game 7, with the vibe being at that point that the Warriors have let Sacramento off the hook. I think everybody believed that the Warriors could get one in this building in this series, but asking to get two, especially when you're up 3-2 in the series late, I think that is something that the Warriors don't want to have to find out if they have the ability to overcome. And so that makes Friday afternoon's game at 5 o'clock all the more important as they try to close things out and get on to whatever the second round opponent will be. The Grizzlies stayed alive tonight at home in Game 5 against LA, so they're going to play down in Southern California on Friday night, and then we'll see where things shake out. The league sent out a bunch of different schedule emails and notes and different things like that. Bottom line, now that the Warriors do have the 3-2 lead in the series, I can simplify it as best as possible. Warriors win on Friday, and the Lakers win on Friday, and the Warriors and the Lakers are playing at 12:30 on Sunday afternoon at Chase Center. That's locked in. If the Warriors lose on Friday, then they're playing Game 7 at 12:30 in the afternoon right back here in Sacramento. So the one thing we know is the Warriors are likely to be playing at 12:30 on Sunday in the worst or maybe the best case scenario for them. 888-957-9570, hardest working player of the game coming up, but let's get back to the phones, and that's where Richard in Millbrae checks in here on Warriors Wrap-Up. Hey, Richard.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, man. How you been?
Yeah, you well? All right.
I'm right here.
Disappointed. I wanted the Kings to win. I hope they can win Sunday. I don't think they will, but I was disappointed in tonight's game. Malik Monk is not ready for the big time, nor is Herter. So I'm going to hope for the best on Friday. Hopefully the Kings will win, that it can win Game 7. I hope for that. If, in fact, the Warriors do win, then I hope that Memphis actually plays the Warriors, because I think Memphis has a better chance of beating the Warriors. I don't think the Lakers can, but hopefully Sacramento will win. If not, then I want Memphis to win, because I want the Warriors to get beat. And that's what I got.
Sure. Appreciate it, Richard. Not a good night for you at that point. And not a good night, not for you if the Warriors wind up winning on Friday night as well. Wow. Frustrated Kings fan calling in here on Warriors Wrap-Up. Yeah, Herter's not had a good series. There's no doubt, and the Warriors have tried to attack him. Malik Monk, you could say Malik Monk this, Malik Monk that, as I'll play Sacramento psychologist. Malik Monk is 21. I mean, he's one of the big reasons the Kings were in the game with an opportunity to steal it down the stretch. So, I mean, he is a high risk, high reward kind of a player. Like, he could have the worst game you've ever seen, but he could also help you win a playoff game, apparently, although this is the first playoff series that he's played in. He helped to win Game 1, for crying out loud. But we have seen, I think, as this series has gone on, more areas where the Warriors have been able to attack Sacramento. But, again, it comes back to what we talked about, which is the patience that you have to have. But thanks, Richard, for calling in. I mean, yeah, we'll take Kings fans here on Warriors Wrap-Up. Daubered down a little bit. And, appreciate you. Respect you, Richard, for calling it like you see it and saying, hey, I hope my team wins on Friday, but if my team doesn't win on Friday, I hope this other team wins because I want to see your team get knocked out. That's that's in the spirit of being a being a good fan. Hope Richard wasn't driving around, and if he is, he's being safe there in Millbrae. Want everybody to be safe there on the roadways. 888-957-9570. Let's go ahead and get to our hardest working player of the game, which is brought to you by AC Transit.
Final 40 seconds. Curry wants a 2-for-1. Off the screen, left side. Step back, in trouble. Bounce pass to Looney. Touch pass to Draymond. Right corner, triple. Good for number 23.
How about Draymond's offense this game?
Offense always seems to get bigger in big games.
18.
Yeah, 18 on the way to 21. Tim Roy, Tom Tolbert on the call there. And just a monster vintage playoff Draymond Green type performance. And like we were talking about earlier, just the fact that he's able to do it when he draws the negative attention target right to him. And, it really is similar to Boston last year, where he admitted, hey, the crowd was in his head a little bit. He was pressing a little bit. And in that series, he got benched for a stretch there in Game 4 with the Warriors potentially in danger of losing the series, and he goes right back into the game and ends up finishing that game and helping the Warriors, and then ends up helping them finish to close out that series. He got ejected from Game 1 last year in Memphis, and the Warriors were able to win that game without him. It turned out to be the only road win they got in that series. They won their home games. Draymond came back, had a very good series against the Grizzlies, and helped them close that out. Sometimes Draymond needs a timeout. He needs a breather. He needs to clear his head and chill and take a look at the mirror and figure out ways that he can help this team in a calmer way while still bringing the heart and soul of this team that has won all those championships. And I think he was on one. He was out of control, I think, the last time we saw him in this building, whether it was the incident with Sabonis or the incident with the fans and all the stuff. And I went on the rant about the parts that I thought were fair as far as the ejection and suspension. I laid out the things that I didn't think should have necessarily counted. But regardless of what you think about that, it's all gone now. Draymond was out of control. So he got himself back into control. And as we've seen so many different times with Draymond, when he's able to get himself back into control, he can contribute at the highest level to winning the most volatile and high leverage type games possible. And that's exactly what he did tonight by carving out a unique way that he can help attack this Sacramento team specifically. So Draymond, the hardest worker of the night, brought to you by AC Transit. AC Transit, looking for hard workers and offering a $2,000 bonus for new bus operators and journey-level mechanics to join their team. For complete details and to apply, visit actransit.org/careers. That's actransit.org/careers. Let's go to DJ in Burlingame. Back to the phones we go. Warriors wrap up. Warriors up 3-2. What's going on tonight, DJ? You're on 95.7 The Game.
Hey, JD. Long-time listener. First time calling in, but just happy the Warriors took a W tonight. Good to see Kavan actually making plays. I think he had maybe about 6-7 assists tonight, rather than, his typical pass out, because that screen and roll, he was open quite a bit tonight. So Kavan, huge game. Same thing with Draymond, attacking the rim quite well tonight. What are your thoughts about kind of that same game plan going forward? Do you think it'll work again on Friday, sitting Draymond and, keeping JP in the starting lineup to have a little more offense and open up the floor a little bit more?
Yeah, I'm not changing anything if I'm Steve Kerr. I'm not changing anything as far as Jordan Poole's going to be out there. Jordan Poole's going to be a secondary ball handler with Steph and with Clay, and I'd keep starting Looney. Sabonis has had some moments in this series. I mean, you look at Sabonis' line tonight, and he ends up 21 and 10 and 4 assists and 9 of 15. You go, that's a pretty good line. But the Warriors have limited his effectiveness in this series in a big-time way. I mean, he's the guy that's typically getting the Kings into their flow when they're right. I mean, there's a if you'd never watched the Kings and you just watched this series, you'd think, damn, De'Aaron Fox is by far their best player. And in this series, he has been by far their best player. But over the course of the 82 games, Domantas Sabonis was the Kings' best player. And him coming over from Indiana, allowing De'Aaron Fox to be the second best player on the Kings over the course of a season really enabled him to be able to flourish and to improve. And they added a bunch of shooting around him, and they brought in his best friend in Malik Monk, who's not only his best friend, but a really nice complimentary player and sixth man. And all of a sudden, Keegan Murray and Herter, a couple of those shooters I just mentioned, and all of a sudden the Kings can play this open, flowing offensive game around Sabonis, who on a lot of nights can dominate his opponent. I mean, there aren't a lot of great bigs in the NBA. And so Sabonis is very skilled, very talented. He is tough. And so he can just dominate a lot in the regular season. And I think that was a big part of the Kings' success. They'd run everything through him. He'd have his way. The shooters would get off. Fox would kind of do his thing. And then in the fourth quarter, they'd basically let De'Aaron Fox try to take the game over the way he did in the first game of the series, really in the third quarter. And they would win a lot of games like the game that they lost tonight, frankly, and the game that they lost on Sunday at Chase. I mean, that's another one of these little hat tip moments for the Warriors. The Kings have been the team that have been the best clutch team in the NBA, and Fox has been the best clutch player in the NBA. And now it's 2 games in a row where the Warriors did something that they were probably going to have to do if they were going to win this series, and that is win multiple games that are close against this Kings team and probably win one in this building. And so impressive, yes, but the Warriors have been able to figure out just enough with their patience and poise to be able to beat the Kings at their own game, really, in the last couple of games. And I think that, can they do it time? As far as the question, I'm not changing anything. Poole's in the starting lineup. Draymond's coming off the bench. I'm playing the same 6 guys that played the bulk of the minute. Like, to me, if you're Steve Kerr, you have to ride it out. You can't get cute. Can't start playing Kuminga again just because you're worried about guys getting tired. Like, you got to get through this game, and then if game 1 of the next series, you're going to play a few more players to try and keep everybody fresh because it's a new series, then do it then. But the one thing, if it winds up hurting you in a game 1 against the Lakers potentially, then so be it. But you got to get to that point. And so, to me, you got to do everything humanly possible if you're Steve Kerr and if you're the Warriors to not play another game in Golden One Center until next season. That's just the reality of it. Because if you slip up and open the door, and look, you're not going to have to open the door very much. The Kings are good enough to where you're not going to have to open the door very much. But if you're a little impatient and they're hot and you don't play buttoned up, and you saw how they can just, in a blink, be right there to steal a game as they were Sunday, you do that, and then all of a sudden they're coming back feeling like they got a ton of house money in a Game 7, which will be raucous. And then you're wondering, can the OGs dial that up again on about 40 hours time when it's going to be a madhouse? And that's something where I know Warrior fans are feeling good tonight. Warrior fans should be feeling good tonight. I know some on the Sacramento side that I was talking to after the game were like, the Kings' time has come. But the series isn't over until you win 4. And so, everything that the Warriors have done, and I think they know it because they've gone through it, it's the fact that you give this Kings team an inch and they take a mile. And so I think, the Warriors are going to have to come up with that 4th great game back at home with the weird start time and less rest in between. I mean, the Warriors' worst game of this series was game 2. And that was the only game in this series where it's been on one day between the 2 games. And the Warriors really struggled in that game. Hung around because the Kings didn't make a lot of shots, but ultimately got beat and got frustrated in that game. But now you look at it, and the Warriors in the games in this series where there's been 2 days off in between, and the first game, obviously Sacramento got the advantage, but the games in this series where there's been 2 days or a week leading up to game 1, those have been the games where the Warriors have come up with their best performances. So something to file away now as it gets a little bit shorter from 5 to 6, and it would get a lot shorter from 6 to 7 with the travel back on Saturday here. So if you're the Warriors, you want to avoid that without a doubt at all costs. All right, 888-957-9570. Do we still have one more caller, Sterling, or did we already roll through that? You can let me know here. Open lines? All right, open line. Yeah, open lines. All right, 888-957. Got about 5 more minutes here on Warriors Wrap-Up. Again, 5 o'clock tip, Friday. Make sure you take the day off. Make sure you take the next 2 days. Again, I'm giving you permission. Just take the next 2 days off. Just chill. Bask in, feeling good about a vintage Warriors win tonight, and take tomorrow off, and then say, hey, I got tickets, or even if you don't have tickets, you just want to watch. You want to go to a bar somewhere in the city, or hang out at home, or whatever. Watch with your kids, watch with your family, whatever it is. Just take the rest of the weekend off. Like, it's no problem. But yeah, 5 o'clock tip. Going to hear a lot about that from the Warriors the next couple of days. All right, couple of text messages, and then I got some notes, and then we're going to call it a night here on this Wednesday. From the 650, JD, since you were there, could you compare the vibe and noise of the SAC crowd from games 1 and 2 compared to tonight? There were a lot more Warrior fans tonight than there were in the first 2 games. The first 2 games, it might as well have been 99% to 1% Sacramento fans. I mean, true home games. Tonight, I don't know, 90-10 maybe. So it was a significant amount of Warrior fans more by comparison, but it wasn't a lot. They were able to be heard, I think, maybe not quite as loudly as the number of Kings fans that were in Chase on Sunday. There were a decent amount of Kings fans there, although I wouldn't say an overwhelming amount by any stretch. But I would say the sound when the Warriors would make a big play was similar to the sound when Sacramento would make a big play at Chase on Sunday afternoon. But I thought it was without a doubt an A crowd tonight. It did seem a little, and again, this is semantics. It did seem a little less rowdy tonight, just a little, but maybe that was the fact that the Warriors were able to grab the lead late in the first half and basically keep the lead for the entire second half. And a good chunk of that, the Warriors were in that 8 to 10 point range. And so I think every time the Warriors were able to get up in that 8 to 10 point range, I do think the crowd did get a little tense, like, is this going to be the end of the line? And every time it got to that point, the Kings made a little bit of a run to get closer, and then the crowd would get into the game. But I think all 3 crowds off the charts. I think Game 1 and Game 2 were a little bit better if we're really going to look at it. If those first 2 games were 10s, then tonight might have been like a 9.8. So, it was electric, and honestly, I know, things have gotten a little ugly at times, I think, between Kings fans and Warriors fans in this series as it's gone on. But, the one point that I have made at different points here is just the fact that, Warrior fans do know what Kings fans have been through. And I'm not saying it makes you feel bad for them at all, but the exuberance of being in the playoffs after a long drought. A couple other things, JD, just want to say thank you for everything. You're doing a fantastic job. Go Warriors. That from Rockin' New Era 84 and the 510. 650, this is a good one. JD, you got to talk about the Wiseman trade now. Could Wise have given us what GP2 did? Can we now say it was a brilliant move, or is it still too early? That's a fair question. And I did address this over the last week. And what I said I said, hey, it's probably still too early unless GP2 helps the Warriors win multiple playoff series or another championship. But I also point blank will say if the Warriors don't have Gary Payton II in this series, they probably don't win the series. And they certainly don't win the game tonight if he's not on the roster. So it's too early. But in the short term, and I know my pal Whitey Gleason has said this, in the short term, the Warriors are absolutely better off for having GP2. And I guess you could make the case, hey, if it helps you win one playoff series, then it winds up being worth it. But at this point, it's a fair question to bring up. And in a series, and all of these playoff series come down to playables. Which team has more playable players that they trust and are capable to give you something on a night in, night out basis? And Gary Payton II, for the most part, when he's been available to play, has been one of the Warriors' playables. And the Warriors have basically found 6. And a little bit of Moody, DiVincenzo some games. Like they've been able to find, I think, 8 or 9 that they can get through a game with. You start looking at Sacramento, and they haven't gotten as much from Trey Lyles or Alex Len or Kevin Huerter, and Keegan Murray came on, but he was non-existent in the first couple of games. So the playables have been relatively even in a series that absolutely would be even. 888-957-9570. That's the text line. 510, I think the Fox finger injury is the break the Warriors needed. Fox won't be the same threat the rest of the way. Yeah, it definitely looked like, just from the shooting numbers, that the finger was more of a problem as the game went on. I mean, he started off hot. He ended up 9 of 25. He had his first 3 from 3. He ended up missing his last 7 from 3. And, look, the Kings were, I thought, I mean, he ended up with 25 shots, but the Kings were, I thought, going away from him more than they usually do, because it was probably painful for him to have the ball in his hands and have to keep creating at the level that he was. A couple of text messages here, then a couple of notes. 510, JD, do you ever sleep? Probably doesn't look like it if you're watching on the YouTube stream or the Twitch stream right now. As I'm looking at the screen here. Yeah, I look a little tired. I look like it's been a 5, gonna be 6 game series that's gone on for nearly 2 weeks. And I guess it has. We've known about this series now for 17 days, so it's felt like this series has gone on for 17 days. So I'm going to get a good night's sleep tonight. And at this point, day off tomorrow, and I'll be ready to roll. 5 o'clock on Friday. Be what, 4 o'clock Warriors Live? Yeah, 4 o'clock Warriors Live. I think I'm going to join Willard and Dibbs from Thrive City somewhere, location to be determined, Thrive City for Warriors Live on Friday afternoon. But yeah, man, I'm loving this. I love the playoffs. I know I've talked to you all about this over the years, and especially last year. I mean, it was a special run for me because, to be able to be traveling and in all these different buildings and covering these playoff games and talking to you, the Warrior fan base. I mean, it's been a blast. And, this series has been tremendous. I know a lot of you do know my background with Sacramento and working there for a long time before I came to the Bay. And this series has just been special. It really has. And the games have been tremendous. And so, no sleep. Who cares? I mean, let's get to Game 6. Let's get to Game 6 and see if the Warriors can close this thing out. All right, couple of quickie notes. Warriors have the 3-2 lead. Mentioned the 1 road win in 28 consecutive playoff series. Now that streak began in 2013. Every single playoff series that Steph, Clay, and Draymond have played in, the Warriors have won at least 1 road game. Tonight, you can check that box for this series. 33 assists, 52% shooting, both highs for this series. Second straight game, the Warriors have had 30 assists and shot at 50% from the field. And so the Warriors finding their offense these last 2 games, and they've had to have it. Warriors overcame a 10-point deficit. That's nothing these days. First time in this series they've been able to do that when trailing by double figures. Warriors had 13 of those in the regular season. Warriors got 60 in the paint, and I think that was the key. Attacking the paint, 60 in the paint. Warriors also got the lead after 3 quarters, a 9-point lead, enough to hold on, a 10-point lead, enough to barely hold on. Playing the game from that 9 to 10-point advantage has helped the Warriors be able to hold Sacramento off in these last couple of games. You go back to Game 1. Warriors had that 9 to 10-point lead late in the third. Curry went out. Kings flipped it, had the lead going to the fourth, and then it was a scrap from that point on. The Warriors ultimately could not prevail. And then, Steph Curry, game-high 31, fourth 30-point game in the series. He's averaging 31.4. I think tonight's the night where Steph surpasses, now with the Warriors having the lead, the best player in the series. De'Aaron Fox, I think, had that mantle, and rightfully so, for the first 4 games of the series collectively. Curry's been inching closer as the Warriors have been inching closer in the series. And now I think with the Warriors up 3-2 and Steph having another 30-point game, his 4th of the series, Curry has surpassed Fox as sort of the MVP of the series, but we'll see how this thing ends with Game 6. And if there is a Game 7, that obviously can change. Klay Thompson, 25 points, 20 or more now in 4 games, and 25 or more in each of the last 2, and he's done it efficiently with 5 3-pointers in 3 games here of the series. 20 for Andrew Wiggins. Kevon Looney matched the playoff career high with 22 rebounds. Looney had the 22-rebound game against the Grizzlies in Game 6 of the Western semifinals last year, and he was able to match that. He joined Wilt Chamberlain and Nate Thurmond as the only Warriors to have multiple 20-rebound games in a single playoff series. So, wow. I mean, I know we joke about the Kevon Looney, Kevon Olajuwon stuff, but that's some pretty incredible company when you think about it. Kevon Looney right up there with Wilt Chamberlain and Nate Thurmond in times with multiple 20-rebound games in a single playoff series. Wilt did it 7 times. So 7 times Wilt had a couple of games in a playoff series where he had 20 or more boards. Nate Thurmond did it 5 times. Kevon Looney, he has done it now for the 2nd time. And Draymond Green off the bench, 21 points. Most he scored in any game this season, playoffs or regular season. Draymond Green, unbelievable line for him. 21 points, 7 assists, 4 boards, 4 steals off the bench in the Warriors win. And first time this season that Steph, Klay, Draymond, and Andrew Wiggins each scored 20 or more in a game. Tonight was really all about the usual starters, Steph and Klay, Draymond off the bench, but typical starter Looney. It was that 5-man group that is ranked the best in the NBA, plus a little bit of GP2 to help the Warriors get to the finish line. All right, this is the finish line for me as we flip the clock now into Thursday. I want to thank Sterling Bennett. I want to thank everybody in our San Francisco studios. Unbelievable job throughout the course of the afternoon and on into the evening and all the way up until tomorrow now here as tomorrow becomes today on 95.7 The Game. But Sterling Bennett back after taking the last couple of games off. Excellent work as always. We'll talk to you on Friday. Again, Warriors Live is at 4 o'clock on Friday afternoon from Thrive City. Location to be determined. Willard and Dibbs on hand as well. And that tip-off at 5 o'clock between the Warriors and the Kings. Game 6 as Golden State will look to close it out. Keep it locked right here on 95.7 The Game. Morning Roast. Steiny and Guru, Willard and Dibbs. They got you covered all throughout what's going to be a busy Thursday NFL draft tomorrow as well as reacting to this Warriors game. So keep it locked at 95.7 The Game. We'll talk to you Friday. Warriors beat the Kings 123-116 to take a 3-2 series lead. And you heard it all right here on your home for Warriors basketball, 95.7 The Game. Good night.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app. He's the best interview in the Bay Area.
Dub Nation, this is Steve Kerr.
Well, I think the fact that we've lost so many games that we felt like we should have won, we know we're right there.
He's on every single week during the NBA season.
Yeah, 100%.
Steve Kerr.
That is absolutely something I believe, and that's what we're working on. That's the plan.
On 95.7 The Game. Presented by the Next Generation 10G Network.